This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
This is Resource Center on Enterprise, and I'm Lim Soon Heng. In the last few Thursdays on this show, we've been bringing you some notable Malaysian SMEs. With me today is Louis Ooi, the Managing Director of MY CO2. Welcome.
Yeah, morning.
MY CO2, the first thing that comes to mind is, are you in carbon dioxide?
Yeah, actually, MY CO2 stands for carbon dioxide. There's a lot of people ask us why your name in such a manner, MY CO2. Actually, put it this way, when we name the laboratory, we actually look at the social responsibility.
What do you mean, level 3?
Laboratory mean
your laboratory, yeah?
Laboratory, yep. So we name it in MY CO2 level because everyone know the emission of MY CO2 is actually hurting our earth. So it's our social laboratory responsibility when we heard our customer mention our name incorrect, such as MY CO2 and all things. It's our position to tell them it's CO2. So this is a part of the education on the
so it's about carbon dioxide impacting our society.
Correct.
So
exactly.
You are trying to do testing of all kinds to solve the problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what kinds of testing are you responsible for?
MY CO2 actually is an accredited laboratory where we actually accredited based on 17025, cover chemical, microbiology, biotechnology, and also mechanical testing. So apart from scope, we also do testing for toy, food, water, oils, a lot.
Sounds very wide. Yes. I mean, how did you go about deciding, okay, I will cover everything? Is there a danger that you are so widely spread that you are not focused?
In fact, if you look at the thing that we are looking at, when you test a food, you cannot be isolated that's only chemical content which is hazardous to human consumption. But you also look at the biotechnology aspect, like micro aspect, which is they having some violent microbe where actually can cause life. So to provide a service only isolate in certain sections, you actually shrinking yourself.
Yeah, but I can understand if you do all kinds of testing related to the food industry, but you say also to toys.
Yeah.
Why?
Actually, when this toy come up, okay, we are the first local laboratory which is accredited. All the testing parameter, which is like EN71, part 1, 2, and 3, basically introduced by the ministry.
Yeah, but what are these tests? You give me all these numbers and I have no idea what they are.
Part 1 is actually more toward the mechanical testing on the safety aspect of the toy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, you're not testing microbes, you're not testing for carbon emissions or whatever. Suddenly you're testing something that's quite mechanical, which is quite different from the kinds of testing that you would think of CO2 laboratories.
Yeah. So we expand based on our competency and then the resource available. And the toy testing is actually being, invited by MDTCC, meaning this KPD and KK, Kementerian Domestics. They actually need some local laboratories support the industry for this kind of testing. Else, the local industry player need to send their product overseas. And the cost is very expensive. So when we came in, we bring the price down. So in the end of the day, we benefit the industry and we actually doing ourselves for the society.
So would it be fair to say that, you started off by, because I understand back in 2006 you set up, then 2007 you started doing the testing, you had very much related to microbes and chemical testing, right? The opportunity came for you to do mechanical testing, and that's why you are in it. So it's just opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I assume going into this kind of business is quite capital intensive. And so funding becomes an issue. How did you go about getting funding to get going?
For the very beginning, we had to use our own fund. And then everything go down to the very basic principle, chemical and microbiology operation. Meaning, before you get the instrument in, you must understand that what is the theory behind to do the testing. That's why we go for manual. When we went manual, we still can achieve the kind of accuracy and the detections. And slowly, we get some fund from the local banking. Then we buy some machine. That's one by one we go. until today.
So banks were quite willing to lend you money to buy equipment.
As far as I'm concerned, you show them a very good book, then they will approve it, and that's how it goes. But anyhow, we control it at a very good gearing basis, so that to make sure, to guarantee bank they can receive back the whatever loan they give to us.
This industry that you are in is not only capital intensive, but it also requires expertise.
Yes.
So where do you find your people?
Basically, we got our people from local or even though graduates. I can say throughout the whole entire corporation right now, we have about 65% of them is actually graduates. They came from different disciplines such as chemistry, biotechnologies, microbiologies, chemical engineering, and then environmental engineering as well. It depends what we want them to go.
Is it a challenge to find people?
Yes. For the very beginning, I think people will look at us because we are just started. They never heard about MY CO2, and then they pick you up. You will look at you whether I want to work for you or not. But right now, I think the situation slightly improved. That we have our own brand, and just lately we got an award from this ministry E50 is actually bring us out, and then there's a branding innovator. So I don't think we find much problem to get good people right now. Yeah.
So in the early days, then it was a problem because you set up 2006 at that point in time. 2007 only you started operations, and you had about 5 people.
5 people,
and they were all graduates,
including me and my key person. I think 2 is graduate. 3 of them is graduate.
So
the rest is technician.
At the start, you were also working in the lab.
Yes, I'm the one who get a phone and then do all the COA, billing, everything. Lock, stock, and barrel.
What's interesting is that you don't come from a testing background. You don't come from a biology or a chemistry background. You spent 4 years in property and then later in IT education.
Yes.
So how did those prepare you to go work in the lab?
Adaptation.
You
need to adapt in whatsoever situation, and then good attitude to learn new thing. Okay, and then dare to learn a new skill. That's how I break through into different industries, such as we started at the this so-called property education, IT, came into manufacturing related service, provide laboratory services. So to me, I think being a business people, I think we need to learn. As far as I'm concerned, you are into business, force yourself to love the task, because you are the one who market the products. So if you don't understand entire process, then you are not fit. So that's the reason. To me, I won't scared into the new industry. As far as concerned, there's a good motivation and attitude to go along the way.
You started in 2006, now 2014. Kind of map out for me how you have grown over the years.
We started at about 800 square feet.
The laboratory
at 800 square feet. When we started, it's about 5 to 7 tested, accredited first round. That's first years, and then we actually hire more people coming in, and then we do some validation, and then we do some thing on measurement uncertainty to bring all the other tests come in. So we need resources, we need people, and then we need attitude to go about.
At this point, 2014, we are at the start of 2014. Where are you? How many labs do you have, and how many people do you employ?
Currently, we have 2 hubs. We started at Pride. Pride now is about 35 people, and then we started this Shah Alam in 2010, where currently, and we got accredited in 2011, and we got about 15 people, 15. So total head count right now is about 50. So it's actually medium size of, you wouldn't say big or small.
Up in Pride, how many kinds of testing do you do?
Overall, we cover our accredited tests is up to 600, both sites. Started at 7 tests. 7, we expand from micro and then food, toy testing, petrochemical. As far as I'm concerned that we can do, that particular investment on that machine can be capitalized again, we will go for it.
So as long as the machine can do that, it doesn't matter what kinds of testing in what industry you do it.
Yeah, I do. Then we go for it. Then right now we are having a 600 accredited tests, and then about covering 18 different categories.
Louis is only the managing director of a testing company, MY CO2, which was incorporated in 2006 up north in Penang in an 800 square feet office. Now it has 2 laboratories with 18,000 square feet. Coming up, the company's investments in continuous development. This is Resource Center on Enterprise, BFM 89.9, the business station.
Build fortunes modestly. BFM 89.9.
You're listening to Resource Center on Enterprise. I'm Lim Soon Heng, talking with the Managing Director of MY CO2, a testing laboratory. And the Managing Director is Louis Uy. What particular strength of yourself? You work in property, you've done IT. What do you bring to your company?
I'm people-oriented, number one. Number two, actually, is business-oriented as well. And one thing that I had in my previous employment or industry, being work with other people, and then I start my own business. So I understand that what employee actually facing currently and all things. So I can stand in their position to think about what I can bring them out. Because, when I graduate, come into the industry, people do help me to bring me out to a certain level. And then, of course, you cannot continue hoping people give you a hand always. You have to learn to stand on your own feet.
Yeah, when you graduated, you were in property. Where were you on the totem pole? Meaning that when you started, were you right at the bottom?
Yes, I'm actually a building officer. I'm doing all the maintenance thing. And then slowly they transfer me into marketing. And then I involved in marketing. And then I started my first education for marketing. And that's where I start.
So from your own experience, having been an employee, you feel that you know and understand employee and what they need?
Yeah, I think nowadays we're talking about business, we're talking about people, and you're talking about system. You have a good business. If you don't have good people, you cannot grow. So in order to grow people, you have to help them up, because helping people, indirectly helping yourself. That's a philosophy I always talk to them. You have to bring your people up to replace you so that you can go up.
True. I hear everybody say that. I hear every company that comes in, they say, our people are our assets. But you don't always see people behave the way they say. They talk, they don't necessarily walk.
Yep. So you have to lead by example. You show them how you lead your people, how he got, being promoted and all these things. And everyone actually can see how you actually treat him. By not saying, explicitly, but in heart, they understand actually my boss or, the company treat you well. That's how we do. It's actually soft aspect rather than hard aspect, advertise. And no, actually, it should be, you are building people, actually you are building the relationship. That's a trust. So I cannot give you a very big example. Concrete. But it had to be actually inside out, rather than you say very superficial. Actually I treat you very well, but in fact you are not. So you have to go into the heart and then you talk to them. They understand actually.
Now, you take care of your human resources, but I understand also you plan quite far ahead, because one of your early discussion, you kind of said that by 2018, you want to be the brand on people's minds when it comes to testing. What are you doing to get yourself there? Even though you got 4 years.
We are actually transforming in the sense of the processes being designed, or we actually hire people to write program, which is a process program to controlling our business flow from point to point B and C. Like for example, sample coming in, checking, testing, issuing the certificate as well. This is entire business process. So I believe if the process can be online or can be systematically designed to suit the operation, you will increase the productivity.
Greater efficiency.
Yes, greater efficiency. And I reduce the turnaround time. At the same time, we actually invest a lot on organization development, where it's focusing on business, people, and system. So system is ISO, and also our internal laboratory management system, which is cover head to tail. And then people is our assets. I cannot afford to lose good people. So we actually bringing them up from a lot of so-called career development path. So at some time when I conduct interview, I say to the good people, I believe. So I hire attitude. Then I talk to him. I say, if you're looking for a job, MY CO2 is not the right place. If you're looking for career, perhaps you can consider MY CO2. That's how we communicate. And of course, I need to show them, prove to them we are not actually cheat. You come in and then in the end you got nothing, then you left. So we need to retain certain rapport so people will grow. So I believe system and business, and also the people.
We kind of talked about people just now when I asked you for examples of how do you treat people. What's your attrition? How many people leave in a year?
I think we do suffer a majority of migrations. I mean, it's using the old system when we want to introduce a new system, and then the system for the old having a lot of setback. Like for example, it's still very manually basis. Number one, it's labor intensive, and then a lot of typo area. In order to increase the customer so-called
the
quality of
what you do.
Yep, what we do. So we decided to go online. So we decided to go for the good system. But in fact, that system also required more learning. So some of my people starting the review to learn a new skill. And they said, why should I learn? I prefer in such a manner. So that is a area when we actually making a decision to transform or you actually stay. So by looking at the long-term basis, I say transformation is a must. And then people have left the company. Sometimes to me, I still feel that I can't do anything. But anyhow, business needs to go on, and transformation being benefit to the company. And in fact, after the transformations, I think last 2 years, it actually bring us to E50. That's a surprise for us to win this prize in that particular 6th position in the finish.
A lot of things you've kind of mentioned so far are internal processes, the people, the processes, the business development. How are you marketing yourself so that, like you say, you will be the brand that comes to mind when it comes to testing?
Yep. I think first and foremost, we stress into 2 quality dimensions. Number 1 is accuracy of result. Okay, accurate. Number 2 is the response time, the speed of response. How far or how long I provide you a result. So these 2 dimensions have to come together. So this is our main thing. Number 1, we are having an accurate result. Number 2, we are having a shorter turnaround time. And then we are comprehensive. We are covering 600 tests accredited. So both people that in food and feed industry actually well covered. We actually can do quite numbers of things, lock, stock and barrel. And finally, is talking about competitive pricing.
It's interesting that you are talking about, you say you need to do things fast, you need to do things well. But these are only for people that you're already working with. These are companies that already know you. But how do companies that do not know you would say, we have to go look for these guys to do our testing?
I think branding, exposure during the, like for example, when we came in Shah Alam, Central region, a lot of people doesn't know us. So they participate a lot of fair like MIHAS, MIFP. And then we also collaborate with MDTCC, Common Trends, Domestics and all these things. So they invite us for a series of interview over Angkasa Puri, TV1, if not mistaken, Selamat Pagi Malaysia, something program. And also we are invited to this Seripentas for this issue. And for this exposure, they are continuing to bring our brand up. So somehow or other, you have pull strategy and you have to incorporate with push strategy, so that my man, when we approach the client, I heard somewhere that then slowly we bring, I think now we are doing branding and everything. That's the reason we go toward the E50
You
brand.
Spend money on branding?
As for now onward, yes.
Because your business is also very much related to getting stuff from outside the country. You import chemicals, you import machinery, equipment. How is the depreciating ringgit affecting you?
Throughout, I think last year's the USD is appreciated.
Yeah, USD appreciated.
10 to 15%. It definitely give us the impact on the particular thing because our operating cost is actually going up. Anyhow, for us, what we can do actually is try to capitalize that investment on the particular machine. That's the reason we have a lot of scope. We do a lot of things and try to maximize the return on the particular machine that we already invested. Because we are talking about additional of 10 to 15% of, you need to pay, even though the taxation as well. So that's how we do maximizations.
So the idea then is to not to import new machinery, but to kind of exploit what you already have.
Yes.
Louis Uy, the managing director of MY CO2, we've been talking about the growth and development of his company, what has happened, and what will yet happen. This is Resource Center on Enterprise, and I'm Lim Soon Heng, BFM 89.9, the business station.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9. The Business Station